Welcome back to another Bellows Blades review. It's been a while since I've posted any videos, so I thought it was about time to get some content back out there and get some videos back up. So it's been a while since I have reviewed a fixed blade. Most of the channel, by far, I've got far more folding or pocket knives on the channel. So today I wanted to actually take a look at one of my favorite small fixed blade knives. This is definitely an oldie but a goodie. So what we're going to look at today is the Eskabar Becker Eskabar, or the BK14. This is a knife that I've personally had for probably about 10 years now. So it's, like I said, it's an older knife as far as, it's not something new that just came to the market. And one of the first things you're going to notice as I'm holding this is my redneck ingenuity here, and I'll talk about that in a minute, but I want to talk about the knife itself first, so let's take a minute and look at that. So when it comes to fixed blades, of course, there's a wide variety of uses for various size and shaped fixed blades, just like there are really for a folding knife, but maybe even more so in the fixed blade category. So this is just kind of a small, so you could even use this potentially as an everyday carry style knife. I have actually done that before with this knife. And it is a good size for that. It's got a very good blade shape, blade design for kind of everyday cutting tasks. So I think there's not too many fixed blades that I would recommend as an everyday carry. I think this one just kind of squeaks into that category where you could utilize it as an EDC style knife. So a little bit about the knife first of all. Like I said, this is a Eskabar Becker Eskabar. Which is, again, the model number is the BK14. So it's kind of an interesting knife right off the bat, because basically what this is a blending of two of probably the most well-loved kind of small neck knife style knives, or smaller fixed blade knives, which is the Azula, the Essie Azula, and the Becker Necker. So in essence, what this knife has done is it's combined the best aspects of those two knives into one. So it's got the Becker Necker blade on it, but it's got the Azula handle on it, which most people tended to prefer that handle. So you're looking at kind of a combination of those. So if you look at this, you can actually see it's got the Becker and Eskabar stamping on this side, and then on this other side, it has the Randall's Adventure SE stamping on that. So it's kind of a collaboration, and a really good collaboration in my opinion, because I do really like this knife better than either of those other two knives on their own. I think it does a good job of combining the best features of those two knives. So honestly, like I said, for this style of fixed blade knife, this is probably my favorite. It's definitely up there and probably is my favorite. Now this is made out of high carbon steel. It's a 1095 carbon steel. So this is, of course, there's pros and cons to carbon steel, right? I mean, obviously the most apparent con is that it is not stainless. It's not rust proof, so you do have to take good care of it. This does have a fairly good hard coating on it, so it'll stand up to some abuse. Now this knife I've carried more in an everyday carry capacity and less of an outdoors type capacity. So I've not really abused that finish at all at this point. That will wear off if you're using it real hard, just as any coating will, but it is a fairly tough coating from my understanding and from what use I've used of it. But like I said, I've not used this in a very abusive or abrasive way that would put a lot of wear on that coating. That being said, so obviously not stainless, so you got to take good care of that to keep it from potentially rusting. High carbon steels are easy to get a scary sharp edge on, but they're not going to hold that edge forever. The nice thing is they're easy to sharpen, they're easy to touch up. If the blade gets dull, it's not hard to strop it and get it sharp again real quick. But it's not going to have the wear resistance and the edge retention of one of these high-end super steels that we have out on the market today that are stainless or semi-stainless. Still though, you can't go wrong with a well heat-treated high carbon steel blade. They have been in use for hundreds of years and for good reason. So I don't look at that as a knock on the knife, the fact that it is not a stainless steel knife and it's a high carbon steel. So that being said, basically what you're looking at here is a 7 inches overall length on this. So just to kind of show you that, you're right there at exactly the 7 inches. The blade itself is actually advertised as 3 1/4. If you measure from the corner of the sharpened edge to the tip of the knife, it is 3 1/4. As far as size comparisons go, this is the trusty Paramilitary 2. So you can see overall length, obviously it's smaller. Blade length is about the same. But really the comparison, because you're looking at a fixed blade versus when we're talking like everyday carry, usually it's not a fixed blade, but this one, like I've said, is kind of one that probably could fit that role. But you're looking at, you can see there that obviously, you know, it's quite a bit longer form factor than a folded pocket knife would be, which would be to, you know, something you should expect. Benchmade, Griptilian. So those two knives are pretty common everyday carry size knives. You got a little bit, you know, a little bit longer overall on the folding knives when they're open. But that is kind of a necessity if you don't want the fixed blade to be way too big. So a little bit larger knives to compare it to. You've got the Spyderco Shaman. Of course, you can see there it's still quite a bit longer than the folded Shaman. There you have the Shaman fully opened up, quite a bit longer. Blade is pretty close to the same there. And then an even larger knife, which would be the Cold Steel Recon 1. Now we're looking at where it's not a huge difference between the folded size of the Recon 1 and the full fixed length, you know, of the BK14 here. But of course then significantly longer when you're looking at the Recon 1 opened up. So again, this would work for an EDC knife, but whereas in the Recon, I believe the Recon 1 can actually be utilized in some heavier tasks or even like a self-defense utility. This is really not going to be a good self-defense style knife, I don't think. It's just too small overall, but that makes it work pretty well for a fixed blade EDC if you're somebody who wants to actually carry a fixed blade every day for just everyday type tasks. So those are just some size comparisons there to give you an idea of the size of the knife overall. So 3 1/4 inch blade, 7 inches overall. That makes it a little small in my larger hands, but it's still comfortable. That kind of swell that's there fits into the palm of my hand and it locks in pretty tight. This does come without the paracord installed. It does come with paracord, the 550 paracord, but it's not installed on the knife. I will put up a picture when I'm editing the video here of what this looks like without the cord on it. Some people may decide not to even put a cord on it. You can also buy handle scales for these knives as well. My understanding is the Zula scales will fit and might need a little bit of modification, but more or less those will fit on this knife as well. I know at one point they were selling handle scales that you could buy for this particular knife. I don't know if that's still out there on the market. But the paracord works really well for me as well. I don't have any problems with the paracord wrap. Now, as far as wrapping this, there's a lot of people that probably have a lot of experience with doing paracord wrap. But just in case there's somebody who would be watching this thinking, hey, I like the way that looks with the wrap, but you know, they're intimidated by doing it themselves. Finding a very simple pattern like this is, in fact, this isn't even something I had to look up on YouTube. I just did it. But finding simple patterns are easy to find on YouTube. The one trick that I will give you for doing a good tight paracord wrap, and again, a lot of people are probably already aware of this, but in case it's your first venture into trying to do a wrapped handle, if you take and wrap this as tight as you can wrap it, and then when you're done, actually dip this into boiling water. That'll actually shrink that paracord, and then I usually, after I've put it in the boiling water for a minute, I'll take it and put it in front of a heater to dry it in front of a heater, and that shrinks it even tighter. So it really gets a very tight wrap. Like this you're not going anywhere with this, you know, and this is after using it for 10 years, it hasn't budged. So this is a really good way to just make a quick, easy handle with a material that's actually included with a knife. So they do include that paracord. The sheath that comes with it is just a hard plastic sheath. There are some complaints about that because it will tend to dull the blade if you're pulling it in and out a lot. Like I said, it doesn't take a whole lot to dull a high carbon steel blade. They don't have really great edge retention. They're easy to touch up, easy to sharpen, but not great edge retention. So be aware of that. You may want to, if you're going to use it a lot, you may want to get a leather sheath or something else for it. I've never bothered with that. It does knock off the real shaving sharp edge, but it retains a pretty good working edge. So I've not really worried about it too much. You can see here, like I said, my redneck ingenuity on this. I tend to carry this either just in a back pocket or sometimes in a scout carry position. And I just took some cheap zip ties and ran them through the holes here on the sheath and made a makeshift belt loop so that when I want to, I can carry this on my belt in a scout position, so that it's right behind my back and I can just reach back and grab the knife, no problem. It actually works really well. I don't have any problems with that. So if you're looking for a cheap solution to mount that up to a scout carry position and you don't mind that it kind of looks maybe a little tacky, the zip ties actually work really well. I've not had any problems with that, and for me it works. Nothing fancy to look at, but it definitely serves its purpose. So overall, guys, just if you're looking for a great small fixed blade knife that's easy to sharpen, is going to be a real workhorse for you, this is not a bad option. Now, like I said, I've actually had this thing for almost 10 years now. I happened to, just out of curiosity, I looked at current pricing on this knife and I went back and looked at what I paid for it. So whether or not this accurately portrays the inflation on knives, I actually don't think it's that bad compared to a lot of other knives. I have Spydercos that if you were to go back that I bought 10 years ago and look at the price now, you get a lot of sticker shock. I think I paid about $37 for this thing back when I bought it 10 years ago. It was like 37 and change. And right now you can pick one up for about 57 and change, roughly right around $60. So it's definitely gone up. It's gone up about $20 in the last 10 years. Is it worth $60? I don't know. That's subjective. It's not out of a normal price range for other knives of this category. So I wouldn't say that they're asking an unreasonable price for it. I do love this knife. I'm glad I got it cheaper than $60. I'll put it that way. But really, it's a great workhorse knife. And again, I like that it's a fixed blade that I can actually carry every day if I want to. It's got a good shape for that. It's got a good size for that. You can slip it. Most guys, we have larger pockets. My wife is always complaining about the small size of women's pockets when they even have pockets. But guys usually have deeper pockets. You can actually slide this into a front pocket and it's not that bad. It fits pretty well. I've carried it more often in a back pocket or, like I said, in a scout carry position. But guys, I'm just going to tell you, if you're looking for this style of a knife, a small fixed blade, you really can't go wrong with the BK14. It's a great knife, a good workhorse, and I think it'll serve you well. So sound off in the comments. Let me know if you have one of these and what your thoughts are. If you enjoy the content, please like and subscribe, and I'll try to keep up with putting out some new content. I know I had a little bit of a break there after the holidays, and I kind of let that get away from me. But I'm trying to keep the content out there for you guys, so if you're enjoying it, like and subscribe. Thanks.